Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. By contrast, I'm announcing today that under my leadership, the United States will commit to the ambitious goal of slashing energy and electricity prices by half, at least half. So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
It's the first day of July. We're just over the halfway point of the year. And Donald Trump has already broken his promises to lower costs more times than we can count. Who's shocked? Not us. But if Republicans in Congress are able to get Trump's reconciliation bill on his desk for him to sign into law, Trump will cement the largest betrayal of his promises since he became president. Trump's reckless economic policies are already raising the cost of everyday consumer goods, and this bill would make things worse by gutting essential programs that provide healthcare and food assistance, making it more expensive to see a doctor or put food on the table. Regardless of the spin and lies you hear from the White House and Republicans in Congress, this bill is all about Donald Trump and his rich friends, and everyone else is getting screwed in the process. So what do these broken promises mean for us? Our costs go up. Our electricity bill gets harder to pay. Our insurance premiums increase. We wouldn't be able to afford groceries. None of this affects Trump and his billionaire donors, but it hurts us. Every time Trump breaks his promises, we suffer the consequences. So Democrats are fighting back, and today we'll walk through what the heck is going on in Washington and how you can get involved. I'm Hannah Moldavan, Deputy Communications Director for the Democrats, and your host today, July 1st, on the Democrats' Daily Blueprint. Lately, Trump's brand has been betrayal. He campaigned on lowering costs, but his presidency has raised them. So I guess it shouldn't be surprising that Republican senators are still debating how to best betray their constituents with this budget bill. Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, who's been updating and educating his Instagram followers all night on the status of this bill and what's in it, sums it up best.
7 a.m. update. Egg McMuffin, hash browns, trying to keep the fuel. Pretty damn tired. But it's an indication we've been at this about 24 hours, and the Republicans still don't have the vote. Maybe the fact that we're throwing 16 million Americans off health care with this stupid bill, maybe a few more will find some gumption. But regardless, it shows how bad this bill is, that it's never taken this long for either party to get something done.
Right now, as I speak to you this very second, senators are still on the floor as Republicans try to pass this disastrous bill. They can only lose 3 votes. And with Thom Tillis and Rand Paul already voting no, all eyes are on Susan Collins from Maine and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. This bill will massively hurt American families who are already suffering the consequences of Trump's reckless economic and trade policies. Under Trump, the US dollar suffered the worst start to the year in half a century, and his careless trade policies have increased annual inflation, costing the average American household over $1,700. Grocery prices are higher than ever, and home prices also hit an all-time high. Trump's big, beautiful bill is a betrayal, twisting the knife in Americans' backs who are already suffering from high prices. This bill will cause 17 million people to lose their health care, force cuts to food assistance that will make it harder for families to afford groceries, and slash energy funding that will raise electricity costs by hundreds of dollars per year. And guess who likes this bill? Nobody.
They don't think of it as one big, beautiful bill. They think of it as one big, bad bill. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at the big, beautiful bill, net favorable ratings. I got 5 different polls for you on the screen. And you don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that these are horrible, horrible, horrible numbers. Washington Post, minus 19 points. Pew Research Center, minus 20 points. Fox News, minus 21 points. Quinnipiac University, minus 26 points. And then KFF takes the cake at minus 29 points on the net favorable rating. Holy Toledo, you just never see numbers this poor. I have been trying to look through the history books to find if there was another piece of legislation that was on the verge of passing that was as unpopular as this one. And Boris Sanchez, I cannot find one.
Americans don't like this. And even Republicans don't like this. Yesterday, Republican Senator Thom Tillis announced that he won't be running for re-election after opposing this bill that will take away health care from Americans who need it most.
North Carolina's used the system. They're going to have to make it work. All right. So what do I tell 663,000 people in 2 years or 3 years, when President Trump breaks his promise by pushing them off of Medicaid because the funding's not there anymore, guys. I think in the White House, senators advising the president are not telling him that the effect of this bill is to break a promise.
This budget bill is nothing short of an insult to the American people. And that's why Democrats are fighting back. Yesterday and into this morning, in order to hold Republicans accountable for the harm they're inflicting on the American people, Senate Democrats are deploying a Hail Mary blitz of amendments during a vote-a-rama, which is basically an hours-long marathon of introducing and voting on amendments to this bill. By forcing Republicans to vote on amendments that would protect working families, Democrats are using an important legislative tool to highlight the Republican Party's true priority, their loyalty to Donald Trump. During the now historic Vote-a-Rama marathon, the Vote-a-Rama broke the 2008 record for the most amount of votes and has been going on for more than 24 hours. Senate Democrats introduced amendments to protect millions from getting kicked off the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid, to save nursing homes and rural hospitals from being shuttered, to ensure pregnant women have access to maternal health care, to save you and your wallet from getting scammed by financial predators, and keep billions of dollars in food assistance from being taken away from children, veterans, and seniors. Let's take a listen to a few of these.
No billionaire tax break or Donald Trump pat on the back is worth the risk of people's lives. Vote yes on this motion. Stop these health care cuts.
The largest shift in this whole bill, the largest unfunded mandate, is on the backs of kids and veterans and seniors and people with disabilities. $64 billion over to the states. 44 of them have balanced budget amendments. You know they can't pay for this. It's hurting local grocery stores. It's hurting our farmers. And it's all done to pay for tax cuts to the wealthy.
And I say, you know what the right thing is. Say no to gutting health care. Say no to gutting jobs. Say no to this shameful,
the senator's time has expired.
Backward bill, and vote yes on my
The chair recognizes.
These all sound like things that are pretty easy to support, right? And in normal times, votes on policies that make life better and safer for every American shouldn't be split along party lines. But of course, these aren't normal times. And while this state of play shouldn't surprise us, it's disappointing all the same. Senate Republicans voted down every single one of these amendments. Republicans have made their intentions clear over and over and over again. Vote after vote, they have put Donald Trump over the American people. So what happens next? The Senate budget bill is still on the floor, and we're waiting to see if it will pass. If that happens, because the Senate will have made changes to the original bill that the House sent over, Republicans in the House have to pass it again. And they're racing towards Donald Trump's made-up July 4th deadline to finish the job. But we know that won't be easy for them. Let's remember just how difficult it was for House Republicans to advance the budget bill the first time, when they did things like calling off a vote and scheduling a hearing at 1 a.m. to hide from the American people.
Republicans are in disarray. They pulled the budget because they didn't have enough votes. Apparently, it wasn't heartless enough for some members of their caucus. But now we've been told to come back to the floor. The Republican chaos is on full display. They are clearly stopping at nothing to try to gut Medicaid, to try to gut veterans benefits, to try to gut food assistance. And I will continue to push back on this fight. So I'm heading back on the floor. If they bring this to the floor, I'm voting no along with my Democratic colleagues.
That was Congresswoman Sarah McBride. That was during the first time that the House was trying to force all these shenanigans through to pass this. So if this bill does pass the Senate, we're expecting House Republicans to try to vote on this bill as early as Wednesday morning. But rumor has it that some of Republicans are scared, frantically making calls and voicing concern behind closed doors because of the cuts to Medicaid and what it could mean for their reelection. To be clear, these cuts are the same things that they voted for last time, but House Republicans hear the warning bells. These Medicaid cuts will cost families health care and cost them future elections. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. And now Elon Musk is threatening to primary Republicans who vote yes for the budget bill. Yes, that's the same Elon Musk who funded Donald Trump's campaign and is now campaigning against the budget bill. Is there any person that likes this bill? So as we continue to put pressure on Republicans, here's how you can take action right now in the budget bill in the Senate. Call a Republican senator. Keep on the pressure. Text call to 43367 to get their phone number and a script. And if you want to do more than make a phone call, Democrats announced Organizing Summer, an all-out blitz to register more voters, build our base, and empower supporters to engage their networks in supporting Democrats and fighting against Trump and Republicans. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are hosting a kickoff where you can learn how you can get involved. Text SUMMER to 43367 to get the link to RSVP, or visit democrats.org/take-action to find more. Thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of the Daily Blueprint. We'll be right with you here at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow on the DNC's YouTube page. Until then.